Assalamu alaikum. I'm Vincent Ali. With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, Allah for blessing us with Messenger Muhammad. And we say all praise are due to Allah for granting us and blessing us with a Muslim ummah, and we celebrate his praise. I'm one of the pioneers of the Houston Masjid. I've been in the community now since 1968. That year was the year in which I received my X, as it was called back then. Upon writing a letter to Chicago and having it approved by the laborers and the officials there, they returned my X, which made me the 13th Muslim named Vincent. And so I was Vincent 13X. Now, there are so many different experiences that I've had in the community, being that I've been in the community now for 53 years. My earliest memories are of the Muhammad Speak newspaper, the paper in which you've seen us sell. It's now the Muslim Journal. But my earliest days of the paper was a paper that sells on Friday. Uh, but we would get it in Thursday, and Thursday evening of the week what was a truck that came in to the masjid. I remember the camaraderie of Muslim brothers grabbing the bundles of paper, which were composed of 100 papers to a bundle. And we would be throwing the bundles off, unloading the truck, throwing the bundles off the truck to another brother who had us like a assembly line. And we would just throw the bundles and up the stairs to the masjid and in the hallways and down the hallways to the spot where we rested the Muslim journals, the Muhammad Speak newspaper at that time. And I just remember the camaraderie of just picking up the bundles and throwing them and saying, all praise are due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. At that time, we called them, THEM, them. And that stood for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we would just be throwing the papers and stuff and happy and stuff and camaraderie and stuff. We'd take the papers, sell the papers and stuff, go out on the streets and avenues. The Muhammad Speak newspaper gave aid and enabled us as a community to develop, to fund projects. Each masjid at that time were doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, 40,000 a week selling the paper, the Muhammad Speak newspaper across the country. And we would even have contests as to what masjid would sell the most papers in a given month. But this camaraderie enabled us to produce, build different businesses and stuff from the sales of the Muhammad Speak newspaper. So every Muslim male sold this paper. That was his way of aiding the Muslim community, selling the Muhammad Speak newspaper at that time. And not only did we sell the Muhammad Speak newspaper, but we also sold books, we sold records, so many different things we sold. Here's one of the copies of the uh, records that we sold during that time. That was volume one or part one. Then the next one, The Time of Judgment, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad uh, put out. Of course, you had to have a record player that played the 33 records at that time. A lot of the young folks today don't know what a 33 record is. They're used to tapes, cassettes, 8-track, and that type of thing, CDs, but it was the record albums that we used to play. The time and what must be done. All of these albums were put out and stuff in our community. Again, the judgment of the world is now. We would take these out and sell these. Black Family Day with Minister Louis Farrakhan. On the back, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This was the year in which the Muslim community in New York sold some 70,000 tickets to that event. This was unheard of at that time. We had sold that many tickets and to the black community virtually, and many other projects of that nature and stuff that we put out and stuff. We also had vendor hookups and everything. And so the masjid or the community made a lot of money during those periods of time. And we were very proud of those things and stuff. Uh, but all of that was coming from the selling of the materials. Here's Message to the Black Man, another book that we would sell. Another book was How to Eat to Live. This book by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, the one that really got us going, because at that time we were calling white people devils. And to many of us, we actually believe that the white man was the devil. I mean, we look at today and we see the Trayvon Martins, the Breonna Taylors, we see the Tamir Rice, we see all of these folks being beaten and shot down in the streets and stuff by police. Now, just imagine in your mind of back then in 68, 69, the police were killing black people on steroids. And so when we had a book out, this one, The Fall of America, we believed that. We believed that America was falling. It was a race of devils. And we literally believed that these white folks were doomed by our Lord and Creator. So these are just some of the things that took place during those years. In 1971, I went to prison. I went to prison not because I robbed the bank, not because I killed someone, but because I refused to participate and go to the Vietnam War. That was what I was drafted for. And they gave me 3 chances to step forward and hold up my hand and swear in. And I told them, as others had done before me, that I was not going to participate in a war killing other innocent people for the sake of white America. Those are some of the near words that I used at the time. They gave me 3 chances to swear in. and to step forward. And each time I refused to step forward and swear in. So I was locked in prison for 3 years. Uh, During that time, uh, we could not sell any papers in prison. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad would always say to us, we have to outthink the devil. And this is what we were calling white people at the time. So, since we couldn't sell the Muhammad Speak newspaper in prison, we began taking subscriptions. We would go out on the yards and talk inmates into taking their little limited monies from their commissary and send to Chicago for a 6 month subscription to the Muhammad Speak newspaper. This is the only way we could sell them something. And by, we would get one or two to take some of their little commissary money, send to Chicago for a 6 month subscription to the Muhammad Speak newspaper. This was our level of determination to help and to aid our community back then. Allah has blessed us, and so many of us have come through uh, these areas of sacrifice, persistence, uh, the selling of the Muhammad Speak newspaper in itself enabled a lot of us to later on become business people, to learn how to talk to people, to begin to put a sentence structure together and converse with people. Remember now, we were grassroots people. Many of us had never been in any position of authority. Many of us didn't have a high school education. In fact, many of the early Muslims uh, hadn't had high school educations. Some were even bank robbers, criminals, ex-thieves, but they come into a new way of life and they put down those uh, uh, means of exploiting others, uh, but they had no knowledge, no real knowledge of how to treat people, uh, how to talk to people, uh, how to operate a business of any type. Some of them couldn't even barely could count when we would set up stores. Somebody come in the store or something, they buy something for $1, or they pull out $1. A can of beans cost 59 cents. They didn't know to give them 41 cents back in change. They might give them back 75 cents. But they were just in charge because they were running the store, because they were aggressive, uh, because they might be favored by somebody else in the community, until later. And today, and this we thank Allah today. Fast forward to the day. Our children now, we see our children now graduating from college. 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, bachelor's, master's, doctorates in our community today. But that wasn't so back in 68. As a matter of fact, you could almost, throughout the Muslim community, almost count those who had been to college on your hand. So our community have made many different strides and overcome many obstacles. And then in 1975, Imam Muhammad, the leadership of our community. Now, he changed up a lot of things. He got rid of a lot of the rotten people that were in our community that were really hindering the growth and the development of our community. Imam Muhammad took steps to get rid of that. What's more, he gave us an increase of knowledge, a wealth of experiences and stuff that he had learned and stuff, being in the family of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, in 1981, Muslims had acquired quite a bit of farmland. Imam Muhammad held a convention on some of that farmland. It was a place in the South called Elijahville. That is the name of the farmland that we had and the community there. And there he began to engage and show us we had farmland. Among the many things that we would sell, we even sold the eggs because we had the egg laying. We had chickens that laid eggs, egg laying farm, I guess you would call it. Uh, Boxed eggs, crated eggs, and stuff, and we would take those out on the streets of New York, even not just in the South, in New York. We were selling your eggs from your farms. All of these acts and stuff that we were doing because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had given us a deep appreciation for doing something for self, picking ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And so in Elijahville, Imam Muhammad began teaching us and coaching us towards getting some of this land we can call our own. It was through that talk and stuff, those talks in Elijahville, that I began to take that to heart more and more. And when I got back from Elijahville, I began to search out land. Now, here's how Imam Muhammad would say it to us. He said, go and find some land 60 miles from these large metropolitan cities where the tax base and everything is different. I listened to those talks and I sought out to look for and acquire some land. Now, mind you, I had a wife and 6 children, and I didn't have a job making any grand theft money. I was just working for wages like everybody else. But I began putting my dollars together in a bank and saying to myself, one day I'm going to have enough money to go out here and try to get me some land, like Imam Muhammad said I should do. Another thing he would say, if you want to profit, then follow the prophet. And these were just things that rung a bell in my head. I don't know what was happening in others' head, but these were things that rung a bell in my head. So I went to the country and I acquired some land eventually. And after getting the land and paying for the land, I began building a house out there on the land. Built the house complete. I'm an electrician by trade. I wired up the house. I plumbed the house. I gas piped the house. I air conditioned the house. And we were in business. And I hadn't looked back. And there was progress from that moment on. Now, mind you, I did that with a wife and 6 children, whom I've never abandoned. These were some of the things that I was able to bring back to the community and tell them. And hopefully, I inspired others to come out or to do the same thing. Many of them heard the same message that I heard. These things that our leadership have given to the community, aid the community to develop itself. Again, another thing that Imam Muhammad came in when he came into the leadership uh, in 1985. No, in 1983, uh, we had the AMCOP chapter, which was the forerunner of the collective purchasing that we had afterwards. The AMCOP chapter was uh, it was the first initiative to for us to collectively purchase together, to join together in cooperation with one another, to buy big or buy in bulk, I guess you would say. Uh, Everybody get it, have the same advantage, equal footing, more or less concept. That if we bought thousands of dollars worth of merchandise, each vendor would benefit by participating because they had the advantage of the fact that it was a large amount. We got that large amount of uh, um, goods for a reduced price, and so each vendor was able to benefit from that reduction in price and stuff through the AMCOP chapters. And at that time, one of our pioneers, Yaqub Muhammad, he was the chairman of that chapter in Houston, and I was his traveling partner. And that was the trip. We traveled all over the countryside, uh, throughout the Midwest, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, uh, just a number of places, Louisiana. We even went eastbound and stuff. We even went to DC. But we traveled around speaking to African Americans. And this was the purpose. We were engaging African Americans to support the Black business. Now, today, we see across the country signs of buy Black, Black owned. But back then, so many African Americans were negative about buying and purchasing anything from Black. There was that suspicion that something must be wrong with it if it come from a Black man. And we would have conferences across the country that we would engage the African American on why won't you buy Black? If I have M&Ms and white man have M&Ms, why is it that you're going to the white man buying his M&Ms and you won't buy my M&Ms? These were some of the basic things that we would confront the African American because there's still a problem why we won't purchase goods and services from African American vendors. And so we would challenge these notions that something inherently was wrong with the product because it was in the hands of the African American. All of these things we sought to eradicate if we could. This is part of the function of the AMCOP chapter. Uh, but um, this is a part of a long line of things that have taken place in our community. Uh, Imam Muhammad and the Honorable, his father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, had taught us to value the marriage bond. And in 1969, my wife and I, Sister Martha, 52 years ago, we were married. That's my wife at 19 years of age. Got married in Brooklyn, New York. Economics was at the helm. Here's my wife. And we had, this was done over at one of our friend's house. He was a sister, had a beautiful home. Back then, we weren't into $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 marriages and stuff. We sought out some Muslim, had a nice home, large enough to accommodate those who wanted to attend, and we would do that. And we took those, if there were any thousands of dollars, we put their monies to other usages. Uh, these were just common sense practices in which we had learned to practice in the Nation of Islam. And all of these things and stuff have made for a more successful community life that we have experienced. We now have 6 children. Of course, my children are all grown, ranging from 50 to 40. And they're all, thank Allah, they're all gainfully employed, have their own lives, their own families. Uh, all 6 of my children uh, have been to college, have graduated, 6 for 6. That's pretty good. And back then, uh, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught we were building a nation, and we were called the Nation of Islam. And we had children. Many of us early Muslims, we had 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 children. We were building a nation, or that's what we thought we were doing. Not like today, 1 and I'm done, or 2 and I'm all through. We were building a nation in our minds. And we knew it took children to build that nation. And we were consciously trying to have large families. And as a matter of fact, many of us come from large families during those years. And so we worked and we strove. It was difficult bringing up large amounts of children. I don't know if it was any harder than what people claim it is today, bringing up children, but it was hard. But Allah feeds the ants, He feeds the roaches, He feeds the birds, He fed us. And for that, we're grateful to Allah, we're thankful to Allah for blessing us so. And we hope and pray that any news who come to our community recognize that they too have to strive like the pioneers of old had to struggle and strive uh, to uh, pick up his load and carry it, and to strive for excellence, for moral excellence, uh, for spiritual excellence, asking God often and much uh, to bless him with the spirit to carry on, because that's the only thing that keeps us going. It's asking and praying to Allah to keep us going. Uh, so with that, there's so many different areas, and I was searching uh, this weekend for different directions that I could go into and stuff. There's so many different things that I have experienced in the community. Remember, we're speaking of 53 years of being in the community. And there's so many different things that I have experienced. I want you to feel free to ask me if I need to elaborate on any given situation, as I've experienced many. Selling the Muhammad Speak News TV host, Reverend Al Sharpton. I used to bring the Muhammad Speak newspaper to his home, to his mother. He was just a teenager, and bring the paper, the Muhammad Speak newspaper, to Reverend Al Sharpton's home when he was a teenager. And there's so many others and stuff that we have engaged with. Uh, one of our imams, Siraj Wahab, Wahab, Imam Siraj, he's from Brooklyn now. I forget his last name, but he's the former brother Jeffrey. And him and I used to be on teams, and we used to sell the Muhammad Speak newspaper together. There's so many experiences that I have experienced in the community. And so if you wish to ask any question, feel free to do that. And I will, inshallah, answer them if I can. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Elijah.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, Brother Vincent, thank you very much for that historical perspective of the origins of the community. May Allah continue to bless you for your dedication and your hard work and your commitment. You know, you didn't mention that you also a pioneer, one of the pioneers in the bean pie, and one of the providers in providing us with that staple of the African American Muslim, the bean pie.
I didn't want to take advantage and inject an infomercial for myself into the equation. But that's another one of Allah's blessings that He that make you, as they say, slap your mom. So thank Allah for that too.
So we have we don't have any questions. We have a couple of comments. One comment from Sister Zara Ali. Assalamu alaikum. We Muslims should keep the success of all that was good in the past and remove all that was bad, inshallah. Sister Sandira, alhamdulillah, Brother Vincent, for this timely reminder to continue to work and struggle in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have Brother Lee Bilal, Allah ever subtle in his ways of bringing us to him. Some few of the comments that we had, but we don't have any questions as of yet. So I think, alhamdulillah. Well, thank you once again, Brother Vincent. It was truly a blessing to hear all of the history that you provided, and also married for 51 years. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. That is such a blessing. So give your wife the greetings and thank her for her service and her devotion and commitment to the religion of Al-Islam and in promoting Al-Islam here in America. And so with that, we'll go ahead and conclude our public address for today. Please stay tuned for any announcements. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Vincent.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum. So we have our community announcements. This is regarding the Winter Storm Uri relief. We're always present in order to assist those who were impacted by Winter Storm Uri. You can go to tinyurl.com/Winter Storm Help if you need some assistance. The in-person Juma is going on presently at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al Quran. You can go to tinyurl.com/MCC Jumu'ah. In order to register, you must register to attend the Juma at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al Quran. Your zakat and your donations are needed. And the ways to donate to Masjid Waters Within Muhammad is via our website, or you can Zelle, or you can send PayPal, or you can Cash App to the various platforms as they are listed on your screen. And your donations and your zakat are needed at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al Quran as well. And you can donate there by going to www.mercycc.org/donation. The new Muslim orientation class is continuing each Sunday at 3 p.m. on Zoom. To join, you can go to tiny.cc/new_M Muslim class. Our virtual khutbah is continuing every Friday at 1:30 p.m. You can watch live on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and you can also watch live on Masjid Al Quran's Facebook page. The Taleem every Sunday, 1:30 p.m. We have a rotating guest of presenters. So please join us every Sunday, 1:30 p.m. on our Facebook, YouTube page, as well as Masjid Al Quran Facebook page. Our Sisters Halakha every second and fourth Saturday, 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. This is sisters only. You can email Sister Salima Cogbill at salimacogbill@gmail.com for more information. Our brothers meeting happens every third Saturday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. The brothers only meeting. In order to join, you can go to tinyurl.com/WDM Brothers. We are continuing to accept fundraising donations for our fundraising donor wall for the Ibrahim Kamaluddin Community Center. You can go to tinyurl.com/MWDM donor wall if you want to take advantage of getting your name or the name of your loved one on our fundraising wall. Al Farouk Media Productions is continuing to provide the commentary on selected verses of the Holy Quran as documented from the teachings of Imam Waters Within Muhammad. For more information, you can contact Imam Eugene Farouk. That concludes our community announcements. Please look to hear more about the upcoming Ramadan, Iftar schedule, Tarawih schedule, and also Masjid Waters Within Muhammad is having our phased reopening beginning March the 19th. That'll be this coming up Friday. In order to register, you have to RSVP or register in order to attend the in-person Juma. Is very limited due to the social distancing compliance that we are recognizing. So if you want to register for in-person Juma at Masjid Waters Within Muhammad, you can go to tiny.url/MWDM Jumu'ah, and you can register for the Juma. There will be 2 opportunities to attend Juma at Masjid Waters Within Muhammad. It'll be at 1:30 and again at 2:20, inshallah. Thank you very much again for attending. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.